Hey everybody, John Michael Bailey, Injury Lawyers. Today we're going to be talking about an angle collision in the rear wheel well on either side and the collision with the wheel well itself and the C-pillar and how this will affect you, a passenger, whether you're the driver, the front seat passenger, or rear driver side or passenger side, and the injuries that you can get from that and how it will affect you now in your life now and in the future, and what the insurance adjuster doesn't want you to know. Let's get started. So let me first say, I'm John Michael Bailey. I've been practicing law for over 45 years. I'm a lawyer. I'm a good lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer, and I won't be your lawyer unless you hire us. Now listen, we would love to look at your case. We love to help people. We're open 24/7, 365. If you would like for us to look at your case, you can begin that process by following this link right here. Or if you're the impatient type like I am, you can pick up the phone and call me now at 888-WE-FIGHT because our phones are answered 24/7, 365. We never close. Our motto is, if you're hurting, we're working. So again, this is information. It's not legal advice. And again, I say again, we will be more than happy to look at your case, but you have to hire us first. Now, all this information is covered in this book, 2 plus 2 equals I'm hurt. Now it's available on Amazon. Now I'm trying to figure out how to make this an ebook so that you don't have to order it through Amazon. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going chapter by chapter through this on the YouTube channel so that you can get this information for free. We're not trying to make money on this. What we're trying to do is share the information. Let's get started. So I know you hear me talking about wheel wells and pillars and all that kind of stuff. Let me take just a few minutes to show you what I'm talking about, okay? And on all cars, where the wheel goes, this is called the wheel well, and the wheel well is an integral part of the fender system. So this is the front fender, this is the rear fender, here's the wheel. This in here, right here, is the wheel well. Now, every car has a support structure, and on this particular model, which is a two-door car, you have the A pillar, which is right here, which is up by the driver's side. I mean, the front seat, excuse me. And this in the middle is called the B pillar. This pillar right back here is called the C pillar, and it is the major support structure for the automobile. And it is something that your head and shoulder and your body can and will run into in the event of a collision. Now, when there's a collision of any kind of force at all in this area, all of the force from this car plus the force of how fast this car is going, in addition to the mass, which is the weight, the gross vehicle weight, uh, curb weight of the car, all of that combined is an amount of force that's measured in meganewtons. I explain all this and give a formula in this book. We're not going to get into it now because it's into the physics, and yeah, there's some physics involved in this. But all of this combines into what we call impact and the force of the impact. This is what we call the mechanism of the injury. And if we understand how the collision occurred and where the force goes, and remember, that force has got to go somewhere and it goes into your body, yes, and our bodies were not designed by God to sustain the impact of an automobile collision. It's just something that we do now because of modern society. Anyway, that force has to go somewhere and it goes into your body. And when it goes into your body, it causes trauma-related injury. And that trauma-related injury is what we're going to talk about now. So let's get started. So let's start with the people in the front seat right now. And this is on either side. As I talk about one, I'll talk about both. So if you're the driver in this collision right here, and you're hit from this way, this is a side collision. So what's going to happen to your body if you're the driver right here? Well, you're going to flow with that force. So in other words, you're going to turn like this. Now, why is that important? Well, if you're restrained and you've got a shoulder strap coming right across here, you're going to get caught right here. So your shoulder is going to jam into that. Here's the shoulder joint. And so what we're talking about here, let me move Ralph the skull and let me get the shoulder joint in here. the shoulder right here is going to be impacted. And that impact is going to be, this is the left side of the shoulder right here. So this would be for over here, but it would be just exactly the opposite on the other side. It's going to come right across here, and all of these processes right here coming right across through here are going to be affected. Primarily what's going to be affected by that is your rotator cuff processes right here. And you will notice that when you have trouble raising your hand or lifting your arm like that, most people after the impact do not associate that rotator cuff trauma until a week or so after the accident. And what they don't do is they don't report the little shoulder pain. They think, oh, that's nothing, that'll go away, to the doctor. And if you don't immediately report it to the doctor, and then a gap, what they call a space of time, a gap in treatment, you go back to the doctor after a week or 10 days, and you say, my shoulder is hurting, that gives that insurance adjuster the opportunity to say, hey, you could have hurt it anywhere else. You didn't report it the first time you went to the doctor. So if you were hurt, you just said something about it. So if you have this kind of an impact and you have that shoulder strap on, check yourself for a rotator cuff injury because they are very, very, very common. Now, this can happen on both sides. Over here on the passenger side, with the way this is set up, it will be coming right across here. I can flip it around in the reverse so that you're looking at it from behind. This would be for the driver, and it would be coming across just like that. So that's one of the things that you need to look at. The second thing you need to look at, because of this coming through like this, is the rotation of your cervical spine. So this right here is the base of the skull. So your cervical spine, when you rotate like this, your cervical spine is going to rotate and come like that. And your head is going to come this way if you're the driver. And it's also going to do the same thing if you are the passenger. So what can happen there is when you see all of this stretching and all of this movement here, what this means is your ligaments and tendons are stretched outside of their normal shape. And once you have that, that's called, I call it ligament laxity. A lot of lay people call it ligament laxity. In the doctor's records, you will see it referred to as hypermobility. What this means is your ligaments and tendons have been stretched out of shape. They never, ever, 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 ever go back to where they were. This is a lifetime injury, and you need to recognize it as such. And you need to tell the doctor, I'm having twinging and pain up through here. And what happens is our muscles in our neck take over. And when the ligaments and the tendons can't do what they're supposed to do, the muscles tense up to hold our head upright so that our head doesn't become a bobblehead, right? And because of that, that's why you get the headaches all through here. Now, a lot of adjusters scoff at this. They call it a whiplash injury because there is a whipping motion. And they say it's all made up, and they tell you it's all in your head. That adjuster is a liar. It's not in your head. It's in your neck. It's a real injury, and you deserve to be compensated for it. But if you don't realize that you've been hurt, you don't report it to the doctor. If you don't report it to the doctor doesn't document it. If it's not documented, it's not treated. And if it's not treated, then you suffer for nothing. Don't do that to yourself. You deserve better, and your family deserves better. Now, if the shaking is very, very violent, then what can happen? Now, this is your disc. This is what these things are right in through here. And what happens right here is if there's enough of a twisting, then the disc material right in here, let me show you the back side of it. This is your spinal cord right here, this yellow-orange stuff. And these right here are your vertebrae. This right here is also part of the vertebrae. But right through here, if it's twisted enough, you can see this where it protrudes. Let me see if I can get a good view of that. Where it protrudes and it touches on the nerve root right there, or it can do it on the other side, depending on which side you're on. And it can also have an interior intrusion. I don't have a way to show you that, where it can actually press on the spinal cord itself. If it's bad enough, now this right here will cause a tremendous amount of problem to you. It can be anywhere from up here in your cervical. It can be down here in your thoracic. It can be in your lumbar, or it can be in your sacral from this type of a twisting impact. Where it happens on you depends on where the symptoms are going to be. If it's in your cervical, it's going to be in your neck and shoulders. If it's in your lumbar or sacral, it's going to be showing up as numbness and tingling running down your arms and legs. In really bad cases, it can cause you problems in the bedroom, can cause your feet not to work like they're supposed to. You find yourself stumbling and falling, and you can find yourself losing control of your bowels and suddenly find that you've gone to the bathroom on yourself. And this is called incontinence. And all of these things can come from these type of injuries. Now, moving on, everybody in this car that we're talking about, their knees will come into contact with something. So and if you're a backseat passenger, it's going to come in contact with the front, or the back of the front seat and that frame. And your knees can hit that, or your knees can hit over here on the door frame itself, right here along the B pillar. This right here is your knee. It's supposed to operate like that, and you're going to be like that with all this stretched out because you're going to be in a seating position if your knees hit the dashboard or your knees hit something else, and it causes a lot of derangement of the interior processes of the knees. So you need to look for that too. A lot of times we see cracked or fractured patellas. Now, the patella is just your knee bone, but if you see right here, it sits within this process right here of muscles and tendons, and that requires treatment and diagnosis and physical therapy. If you try to let it just heal on yourself, you can do that if you want to, but don't expect an insurance adjuster to offer you any compensation for it. Why? Virtually every insurance adjuster in the entire world is going to take this attitude that if you're hurt, you're going to go to the doctor. And if you don't go to the doctor and treat for the things that you say hurt, then you are a liar and you are making it up. We who live in the real world understand that there's things called jobs and childcare and things like that that we have to take care of whether or not we're hurt. At John Michael Bailey Injury Lawyers, we understand that. We get you to doctors who will help you on your schedule as opposed to your PCP schedule. If you try to call your PCP for an appointment, it might be weeks before you can get in anyway. So your best bet is to get to a trauma-trained doctor, which is the last thing the adjuster wants you to do. They don't want you to know how badly you're hurt because they don't want to pay you what they should pay you. They would rather get that bonus for cheating you out of what you deserve so they can go on that little Caribbean trip and drink those little umbrella drinks out by the pool. That's the way the game works. That's the way it's played. You need to know what time it is. Finally, let me talk about your skull and your brain. You're saying, well, how can that be affected? Well, our brains and our skulls are very, very marvelous things. If we take the top off right here, I'm going to show you something. The brain itself is it's our brain. I don't know how else to say it. It controls everything. So everything in here, there's a lot of little micro blood vessels and things like that. And with a violent shaking of the head, the way our brain is made and the way our skull is made, the brain itself comes to just below the nose. And what happens is that the top part of our brain will move back and forth within this enclosed area within the cranium, but the bottom part will stay still. And what happens is that when you do that, when this top part of the brain moves back and forth, it breaks all of these little microcapillaries and causes what's called a brain bleed. This is very serious because the brain, when it reabsorbs that blood, because there's no way for the brain to swell, that's why brain swelling is such an issue, it leaves holes in your brain like Swiss cheese. Yes, holes in your brain like Swiss cheese. This can cause you untold problems up to and including neurological deficits. We can find whether or not, with the appropriate testing, whether or not you've had a brain bleed with a special kind of MRI, because it's magnetic. It can look for the iron in the blood that's escaped your brain. But if you don't have a trauma-trained law firm who knows how to find the hidden injuries and who knows to look for the places where you might not think that you're hurt, you're not gonna know that you were hurt. You're not going to relate it to the accident. You're not going to get treated for it, and you won't get compensated for it. And what really breaks my heart is when somebody finally realizes, yes, this trauma and all these symptoms that I've been going through, those are related to my accident. And then they call me but they've already settled their case. And there's not a thing I can do for them, because once you sign that check, the guy that you thought was your best buddy isn't going to remember your name anymore. So if you've had this kind of accident, there's no such thing as a simple collision. If you're in a lawyer's office, and he says, oh, this is just a little fender bender, you're in the wrong office. If an adjuster tells you, oh, this is just a little fender bender, that's the adjuster starting to train you to cheat yourself. Don't let them do that to you. Get a trauma-trained lawyer on your side. Now, here at John Michael Bailey Injury Lawyers, we would love to hear from you. We're open 24/7, 365. If you're hurting, we're working. Pick up the phone and call us. We'll do everything we can, jump on it, get you to the right doctors, make sure that you get the appropriate treatment, and get you as best as we can possibly get you. We are not afraid to go toe-to-toe with the insurance industry to get you what you rightfully deserve. So let me close by saying again, I am a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer unless you hire me, and you can do that by following this link here, or pick up the phone and call me right now at 888-WE-FIGHT. Finally, let me say, this is our YouTube channel. We're not trying to monetize or make money off any of this. We're trying to spread information. We understand that there's a grumpy old man named Algorithm that works for YouTube. He gets up mad at the world every day, and he goes to bed mad at the world every day. And we're trying to make him as happy as possible. So please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends to check out the channel. You can send them an email, a smoke signal, or you can throw a rock through their front window. I don't care. Just spread the word and tell them to come check us out. Also, remember that Mr. Algorithm, that grumpy old man, he's got an equally grumpy girlfriend. Her name is Miss Analytics. And so let's keep her happy too. So the thumbs up and the subscribes and any kind of comments or anything like that, please add them. We'd love to hear from you. So in closing, let me say this. If you can hear my voice, I wish you peace and joy. And as always, I hope to talk to everybody real soon. 888-WE-FIGHT.